Hi, it's Ashley from Confident Coin. Today we are going over our beginner budget spreadsheet. So when you click on the link from the PDF, this is the file that you will see open in Google Sheets. If you run into any issues or it suggests that the file isn't available, that usually means that your Google Drive is full and that you either need to use a different Google account or remove a few things. When you're ready to get started, the first thing that you can do is optional but suggested, is change the date. So in order to do that, you will just double click and then using the arrows here of the date selector, select the month that you are working on. I'm going to go with May since it's mid-April. So the next thing that we are going to do is select the start and end date of our budget. This is optional and for you, but good for record keeping if you're running like a weekly budget or a bi-weekly budget. So we will go from the 1st to the 7th, just to keep things simple for now. So once you've got your dates set up, the next thing that you're going to work on is setting up your budget. So let's start with our income here. You can enter the names of your different sources. Now this is going to work a little differently if you're running this as a monthly budget, a weekly budget, or a bi-weekly budget, but let's just assume that for now it's either for a paycheck or for a month. So maybe you'll put your main job here, job, and then maybe you have a part-time job. Alternatively, if you want to run this as a monthly budget, you could do paycheck 1 and paycheck 2, and then maybe you have a part-time job, and maybe you also receive some kind of benefit from the government, or something like that. You would enter that as well. And then you'll enter the amounts after taxes, presumably. And then once you're done that, you will move on to setting up your budget. So here under the regular bills category, you can see that there's several, there's 10 in total subcategories for you to enter. Regular bills are meant to be fixed expenses, so things that you pay consistently every month. The amount might vary, but you pay them every single month. They're necessary to survive and stay alive. So for example, things like housing or rent or mortgage, utilities, maybe your cell phone, maybe you have car insurance, maybe you have like property insurance or renter's insurance. And then when you've entered in the category, you will enter in the amount. So assuming this is for a monthly paycheck or monthly budget, we'll enter in the total for the month. And to enter these, you just are going to want to click on the cell and then either overwrite it or you can double click and hit enter and it will update for you. And there's all the way down to 10. So once that is complete, you will move on to spending and do the same thing. So things like groceries, dining out, maybe you have a gym membership. Oops. Gym membership, again, there's 10 categories, so you will fill these out as appropriate, and then enter the amount of your budget, your goal amount for the month. Now, if you're like, Ashley, how do I know what my goal amount for the month is? Ideally, you will have gone through, say, like the last 2 or 3 months of your spending and looked at what your monthly average is. So basically, you would go through all your bank statements and say, how much did I spend on groceries in January? How much did I spend on groceries in February? And how much did I spend on groceries in March? And then you'll take an average. And then you will use that to create a budget. So you can see over here as I'm entering in these goal amounts, you can see that my income is $4,300, and then my regular bills have totaled $1,750. My spending is $1,650, and we haven't entered savings yet. But what you can see is that of my income amount, I have about $1,000, $900 left to budget. This is really good to ensure that you're not over or under spending. So generally you want this number to be positive or 0. And then again, we're going to do the same thing under savings. So you should have an emergency fund, even if it's only $5. And let's say savings Christmas. And maybe we'll do savings gifts. And some people call these sinking funds, but basically just different pots of money that you're saving things towards to use at some point in the future. So again, so we can see we have $420 left over. Now, if this were your actual budget, as I'm obviously making this up a little bit as I go, you would want to make sure that you are assigning this $420 somewhere. Now, if you feel like this is what your budget should be and it's just extra, you could create an additional account here called leftover or rollover as like an emergency bucket for you to use if things don't go as planned over the month. So you can see up at the top here, now that we've filled in these 3 charts or 4 charts, that we've got bills left to pay, amount left to spend, total income, and total expenses. So as you move through the month, these will change to reflect what's happening. Now, total income is how much you've earned for the month. Total expenses will be the sum of your savings, regular bills, and spending. So these 3 categories will sum here. And then the amount left to spend is what you've budgeted or your goal is minus what you've spent. So at the moment, all of our spending is left because we haven't spent any. Now, how to track your spending. Over here, we have an expense tracker, and this will calculate all of your spending. We will come back to the other 2 in just a minute. So over the course of the month or pay period or whatever your budget period is, you will want to track your expenses. So you can optionally enter the date and enter some info, like let's say you went to Safeway for some groceries, and then you'll find groceries, and then you'll enter the amount. If you have any note that you want to leave for yourself, you can type it in here. You don't need to, but maybe you want to know that you paid with your checking account. And then you'll just repeat this for every type of expense that is a spending. So like a variable expense that falls under this heading. You will just repeat this as the month goes on. So let's do dining out. Maybe we'll say dinner with Sarah. And you can see when you update these, it automatically is updating your graph down here. So it tells you under groceries, you've spent $67.82 of $800. Now, for these 2 categories, regular bills and savings, because they're more of a straightforward lump sum payment, all you're going to do to enter them is spend. So when you pay your housing, presumably at the 1st of the month or the 15th, you'll just enter the amount. Same thing with utilities. Let's say your bill comes and it's not 125, it's 117. You can enter that. Now it's going to tell you that there's a difference or that there's some of your bill left to pay, but that's okay. You can also just change this if you'd prefer it to be exact. And then again, for cell phone, let's assume that your bill, there you go. And you will just repeat this process. And you can see the bar graph fills in solid when you have used up that amount of money. Now let's say for your dining out category, let's say we went out and we had a wild night and we've overspent our budget. So you can see here we've spent $232 of $200. So the graph or the bar graph is now red. So that's to let you know that you have overspent in that category. Now, as I was saying up here, you can see since we have paid all of our bills that it is $0. So there's nothing left to pay. However, under amount left to spend, there is quite a bit of money because we have not spent all of the assigned money for the month yet. So as you keep filling in the chart, which I will do, you will see the charts and graphs change. And so you can see now, there's a chart up here for where your money's gone. We have entered some money in regular bills and spending. We haven't done saving, which we'll do in just a minute. And then you can also see there's a graph down here, which is reflecting your spending summary. So it breaks down, it breaks down if you click on the chart and hover how much you've spent in each category and then the percentage of your spending. So you can see we've spent 33% of our spending money towards groceries. Now with savings, it works the same way as regular bills because it's more of a lump sum payment. You're just going to enter it in. So let's just say we put our $250. Now, if you want to transfer it in smaller increments, you can do that. You'll just enter the amount and then manually add up another 125 and 125 would make 250. So you would manually enter that. If you would like a way to do that or have the spreadsheet add it for you, we'll do it under Christmas here. So you'll push equals, and then let's say this week I saved $50, and then in 2 weeks from now I saved another $50. So you're going to do plus and then 50, and it will add it up for you. So we'll do that one more time under gifts. So we'll do equals, and then you'll put your first contribution, which let's say is $10, and then 2 weeks later you saved $15. So you're going to do plus 15 and then push enter, and you will see it adds it up for you. So you can see now that is how the spreadsheet works overall. You've got a summary here, so you can see where your money is gone. So you can see your regular bills is taking up 56% of your income, your spending is 24%, and your savings are 20%. So for example, if you're doing like a 60-20 budget or something like that, you can see if that's meeting those things. However, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't even worry about that. And then you can also compare your income to your expenses. And ideally, these would be equal to each other, meaning that you've assigned all of your income. So hopefully it's not being overspent, but that you're either breaking even or you're putting the difference into savings. And then again, the spending summary here at the bottom. So this is the second tab on the file called a weekly budget. So you can use this file for 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks, depending on how you want to budget. So it works a little bit differently, but generally it's the same. So to get started, you'll want to scroll down to the planner at the bottom here and enter in some information. So instead of entering the information like we did before up here and like in these spots, we're actually going to enter it down in the planner, and it will all transfer up to the top for us. So the first thing that you'll want to do is enter in some names of your income, and then enter in your regular bills. Again, there's 10, everything is the same, spending and saving. So just repeat those. And once you've done that, you're going to want to start to enter your values. So as you can see, this is broken down by week. You can use all of them, you can use just one, whatever you prefer. This is great if you want to portion out your monthly budget over the weeks so that you're only spending a certain amount per week, especially like for things like groceries or with spending, where the risks of overspending are a little bit higher. So starting with income, I've got it set up here with paycheck 1, paycheck 2, part-time, and benefits. So let's just say we're going to budget for 2 weeks. So let's say we get paid bi-weekly. So either on the like every other week or semi-monthly. So like on the 1st and the 15th, that kind of scenario. So let's just say our first paycheck is $2,000 and our second paycheck is $2,000. And then our part-time income, which is this one here, and and then maybe you get a benefit payment. So you can see that it's totaled the values here. Now, if you would like to add these slowly to your paycheck, like as you actually get the income, as you earn it, all you need to do is tick it off, and you will see it sums it over here under earned. And then if you scroll up, you can see it will add it to your budget at the top. So it's just a simple tick, untick as you earn them, or if you want it all to be added to your budget at once for income, by all means, you can add them all. We'll just keep that there actually. And then next, under regular bills, you'll do things a little bit differently. So because this is a planner, it's going to help you figure out how to divide it up over your weeks. So let's say your housing for the month, so your monthly total is $1,500. You can see I entered some values here. So one option, or one way you could do that, is maybe out of your first paycheck you take out $750, and out of your second paycheck you take out the other $750, so that it's not coming out all at once, depending on obviously how your money flows. And then you would just repeat this process for utilities. So let's say out of my first week I'm going to do $50. You can see over here this column is called balance, and basically what this is your monthly total minus any amounts you've scheduled, and then like what the difference is. So you can see 100 minus 50 is giving us $50. So it's helpful. Obviously these numbers are a little bit basic, but let's say here in this first week I could only afford to put in $65 towards my $150 car insurance, and I'm like, well, what's the difference? It's $85, and the spreadsheet will calculate that for you automatically, so you can easily calculate it out for yourself. You can also see here what your totals are, if that is meaningful for you when you're calculating. And I'm just going to split these in half pretty equally. And then once that's complete, you're just going to repeat this process for your spending amounts and then your saving amounts. Now, if you notice, your spending amounts in the middle here don't have check boxes, and that is because we are still going to track those expenses up here in the expense tracker. So we will come back to that in just a minute. Let's just do savings really quickly here. And again, remember, like if you're spreading this over like 4 weeks, you can easily just do the same process. You'll just add them into more rows, or more columns, and it won't change anything. And then one thing you can see over here is this is looking at your estimates, right? This is like your goal amounts. You can see here what your income is minus your regular bills, what you've set up for spending, saving, and a balance. So you can make sure that you're not over budgeting or under budgeting by checking out this summary here. And so now that we're back looking at spending, I've already entered some monthly total amounts here. I just wanted to run over using this. So I think that with things like groceries, it can be beneficial to budget these out over 4 weeks or over your month to sort of keep them in check, because I think it's easy to overspend when you feel like you have $800 as opposed to feeling like you have $200. Also, you don't have to do this the way I'm doing it. You could divide them up over 2 weeks. It's really up to you and what works best for you and your lifestyle. So now that we've got all of our values entered into the planner, we can start our month. So you can see at the moment, pretty much everything is 0 out of 0. And so now that your month is going, you are going to tick the boxes as you earn your income. And then you are also going to tick the boxes as you save your money, or spend your money. Also save your money. And as you can see here, I've ticked off all of these regular bills for my first week, and you can see that they transfer up here for you. So you can see under housing, you've spent $750 of $1,500. Now I recognize that maybe that might be a little bit strange because you probably pay it all up front. So in this case, let's just tick off both. However, if you're taking the money ahead out of your paychecks, then $750 would probably make sense to see up there. And we'll just tick off some savings amounts as well. And then we'll go and do some spending. So within the spending tracker, this works the same way as before. You're just going to enter the date, double click, and then you can enter in an amount. So maybe you went to Aldi and you bought some groceries for $125. I realized that didn't spell Aldi right. And then maybe you went to a restaurant. And so you can see that these amounts are automatically calculating again here for you. You don't have to enter anything else other than what you've entered into the expense tracker. Now, you can see for restaurants here, it's showing you your total goal for the entire month. So keep that in mind, that this isn't a weekly amount. It is the monthly amount. I will just enter a little bit more data in here so that it fills out the spreadsheet a little bit. And obviously the numbers I'm entering here are even, and yours will be a little bit more varied because that's real life. So as I continue to enter in my spending amounts, I just wanted to show you one thing again, is the same as the single budget. So if you overspend, the bar graph will alert red and let you know that obviously you have overspent in that category. Just like the first tab we were looking at, the summaries over here are the same, and the calculations of all of your bills and expenses are the same. The nice thing about this version of the spreadsheet is that you can plan your entire month out if that works better for you, and all you have to do is tick the box when you want to apply that spending amount to your budget, which is great for things like housing or utilities or bills where you pay in a lump sum, where you don't really need to track the individual expenses. One last thing about this spreadsheet is that you can easily duplicate it, so you can keep your monthly budgets, or if you want to do the year all in one. To duplicate it, all you need to do is right click and hit duplicate, and it will copy everything over. So let's just say you use the weekly budget here for April and you wanted to use this copy for May. What I would recommend that you do is definitely unclick all of these amounts for your new month. One easy way is if you want to click on it, untick it, click on it, and then select the circle and drag down, it will clean up all of those for you. And then you can either erase all of the numbers, or if you know that it's going to be really consistent and you budget the same every month, you can just keep it the same and sort of reflect and make sure that you didn't overspend in any areas or underspend, and you can make your adjustments. And the other piece of that is you'll want to erase your expenses, obviously, so that's cleaned up. And then finally, you can rename the tab. So to rename the tab, you'll right click on it and hit rename. And so maybe you'll call this May 2023, and maybe you'll call this one April 2023. And all of this applies again for the single budget. So right click to duplicate it, rename it, all works the same. I'm just going to call it single April so that it's straightforward. Actually, this is for me, so we'll just change that. Both of these you can duplicate within the worksheet as many times as you need to, and there's no issue, they will continue to work for you. So that is the beginner budget spreadsheet file. If you are interested in purchasing the file, the link is in the comments or in the description. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thanks for watching.